should be a wake-up call for our communities to the great work that our officers are doing every day to...
Like, that's crazy. Nah, it is a wake-up call for the communities, just not in the direction that you think, dumbass. That's what it is. It quite literally is a wake-up call that this is what ICE does. They take out people who are doing incredible work. They actively go after people who are doing fantastic work, serving their communities in ways that ICE never could dream of. That is where we're at, though.
ICE agents arrested the head of Iowa's largest school district. Immigration officials say Des Moines Public School Superintendent Ian Roberts was considered an ICE fugitive and was living and working in the country illegally. Lana Zach brings us more from Iowa.
Protesters rallied outside of the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration offices in Des Moines Friday, stunned by the arrest of Public School Superintendent Ian Roberts, an immigrant from Guyana.
The general public, I think, is not okay with what's happening.
In a targeted enforcement operation, Roberts allegedly fled before being arrested. Officials say inside the vehicle he was driving, they found thousands of a loaded handgun. It is a crime for someone without legal status to possess a firearm.
We do not have all the facts. There is much we do not know. However, what we do know is that Dr. Roberts has been an integral part of our school community.
Roberts became superintendent of Iowa's largest school system in 2023. The district says he disclosed that he had previously pled guilty to a minor firearms charge.
We have a plan to reimagine education here for the future in Des Moines.
But they say they were not aware of a deportation order issued last May.
Bro, this guy's this guy's a literal stud, okay? Just, he's so awesome. A go-getter, an overachiever. The very fact that this is the type of person that this administration is actively trying to deport from this country, a role model, a pillar of the community, someone who is an overachiever by every metric, like a good person, but not just a good person, but like an Olympic athlete. Like, this is who we have to get out of the country? Are you fucking insane? This makes no sense. Like, go ahead, try to explain this to people. Unless you are straight up a Klansman who sees a black person and goes, hell yeah, I'm glad that we got this scary thug out of here. Like, most people are going to look at this and be like, why the fuck are you kicking this guy out? There's like a million dumb fuck dipshits I think would be better served if we kicked them out than this guy. Like, what the fuck? And he is the norm, for the record. Like, he is an exceptional person. His background is exceptional, okay? His background is exceptional. But there are plenty of people who also play a formative role who play a major role in their communities. Like, I can't believe it. A lady called her Iowa congressman's office and popped the fuck off.
Congressman Nunn's office. How can I help you today?
Hi, I want to know why Mr. Nunn has not done anything about the administration and ICE detaining my children's superintendent today.
Yes, ma'am. The congressman is aware of the situation with Dr. Roberts. It is deeply unfortunate.
It's not deeply unfortunate, it's deeply illegal. 8 USC 1357. ICE does not have the right to detain U.S. citizens. Calling it unfortunate is offensive. What's he gonna do about it? What the is he gonna do about it?
Ma'am, the congressman is aware of the situation.
Aware isn't enough. What action is he taking?
Ma'am, all I can say is that the congressman is aware of the situation.
Okay, that makes it worse. Him being aware of the situation and a U.S. citizen, my children's superintendent, still being detained illegally is worse. That's worse. I was hoping maybe he hadn't heard of it yet, and that's why he was doing nothing for the people of this district. But in fact, he knows that the people of this district are being harmed by him, and he's just sitting back doing nothing. Shame on him, and shame on you for working for him. I hope you all go to prison. Have a terrible day.
Trump won the city of Des Moines 55-45. Iowa is red as fuck. Red state, white people fired up. This is hugely a good sign. Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think Des Moines, Iowa fucks with this decision. Are there that are going to look at this and be like, hell yeah, brother, this is why I voted for? Sure. But I don't think the people, the normal whites, are going to look at this and be like, great, I'm so glad you have apprehended an overachieving, beloved figure that is a pillar of this fucking community. You're talking about a guy, like, this is where the DEI hire narrative becomes even clearer than before. Obviously, it's a way to just like say, oh, that's a black person, he didn't deserve to be here. We all know that. But this is where it becomes undeniable when you got a dude who has a fucking PhD and has done numerous lectures and is like an Olympic athlete, an Olympian, okay, who rose through the ranks and became the superintendent of the district, like, and is a beloved figure in the community, getting treated like a criminal. I don't see this. I do not see this being great for the administration. This is even worse in terms of the reception from the broader population that's impacted by this. This is even worse than like the random hairdressers getting apprehended and detained and shipped off to El Salvador. That is a crime against humanity in and of itself as well. Make no mistake. But now you're just going after like straight up notable figures in the community. It's only bad if you assume that public opinion and voting will still matter. I don't know why you think that when I talk about broad public sentiment shifting, that I'm actually referencing like a midterms that may or may not happen. I'm talking about broad public sentiment shifting and then there being extreme levels of discontent. In the absence of a pressure valve such as midterm elections or any sort of punishment that you can do through the democratic process, I promise you, people will let their voices be heard. I'm not talking about the midterms. I'm talking about right now. What is this? Disagree. His parents were blue hood, white moderate Republicans from the Chicago suburbs. He was never being named something that wasn't in the Bible. Illinois is like a protected habitat for this type of Republican. They're practically extinct elsewhere. They'll randomly surprise you by being weirdly well-informed and principled on the U.S.-Azerbaijan policy or something like that. This is what Charlie was said to be back when he was knocking doors from Mark Kirk, but Con Inc. robbed him of it. Every time Tammy Duckworth quotes a Black Sun edit that the official DOD account posted and says, the flag is folded wrong here, I think about how Illinois used to have a true heir to Lincoln. They took him out because dry streak. Senator Mark Kirk regrets calling Lindsey Graham a bro with no hoe. I do think this is a much more propaganda influenceable situation. If the admin can blow up the illegal, et cetera narrative, they can win on this in a state like Iowa. It depends entirely on how well known this guy was before all this happened and how hard it'll be to tarnish his reputation. Low info voters are always easy to fool. Dude, saying that a guy had a gun in Iowa is crazy. Yeah, of course he had a fucking gun, and it's Iowa. What are we talking about? You're not thinking about this in the perspective of Iowans. Obviously, white Iowans, when they see a black guy with a gun, they automatically assume crime. But like even then, especially if he is a beloved figure in the community, it's not... You know, I mean, he's the fucking superintendent. Hold on. White people love authority and he's a superintendent. Stephen Miller thinks he's a threat. Yeah, Governor Newsom's press office. Stephen Miller is a f***ist. Why do you think they posted this? I'm telling you, like, right now, low-key, I get mad at Gavin Newsom, but he is like a magnet, dude. He is like a magnet for conservative discontent at this moment. So I'll take it. I'll fucking take it. He just keeps chirping over and over and over again, knowing full well he's like, yeah, do something about it. And I'm glad that they're just like actively getting mad at him and not actively getting mad at like random people, okay? Random American citizens they want to fucking target and prosecute much easier than someone like Gavin fucking Newsom. Yeah, they responded with, because you're a fascist. Because it's true. I just can't believe they took this dude out.
Roberts is accused of overstaying a student visa issued in 1999. In a statement, the local ICE director tells CBS this should be a wake-up call for our communities to the great work that our officers are doing every day to...
Like, that's crazy. Nah, it is a wake-up call for the communities, just not in the direction that you think, dumbass. That's what it is. It quite literally is a wake-up call that this is what ICE does. They take out people who are doing incredible work. They actively go after people who are doing fantastic work, serving their communities in ways that ICE never could dream of. Calling this guy a public safety threat when he is so clearly not, I think, will open up a lot of normal people's eyes to the reality of what ICE is doing. Because it is the diametrical opposite of what Donald Trump presented as combating and targeting, which was violent criminals, violent, scary, monster criminals that the previous woke administration was too cowardly to go after. And then this is who you're fucking apprehending. Get out of here. Get out of here. I'm sorry, if you look at a guy like this and you go, that's a villain, automatically, a guy with a resume like this, if you look at a guy with a resume like this and you say, no, he deserved it, you a fucking grand wizard of the Klan, okay? Like, I don't even think regular racists would openly be like, yeah, this guy needed to go. Like, he is so above and beyond that, like, the average racist that's just like, I don't know about black people, I don't know about Mexicans. Like, the average racist would look at this guy and be like, oh, maybe you should have let this guy go. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. That's fucking nuts. Yeah, handsome Olympian PhD holder, superintendent, swagged out to the fucking max. Just a wonderful beacon in his community. And these guys are like, nope, yeah, he's got to go. I think you're sleeping on the average races. No, man. I'm saying that there is levels to this shit, okay? There's levels to this shit. I'm not saying that the average race is a good guy. I'm saying you don't have to be a good guy to think this is a bad thing. Do you not understand? This is not about like good bad dynamics here. I'm saying even bad people would look at a situation like this and go, okay, this is a bridge too far, okay? That's it. You're sleeping on the difference between New Jersey and Pennsylvania races and Iowa races. You live too long on the coast, I'm afraid. Dog, the Iowa races that sends his school still actually has encountered this superintendent. And if he's like a polite guy, they will literally go, I don't know, he might be one of the good ones. You know what I mean?
Remove public safety threats.
I love Dr. Roberts. Like, he has been a wonderful superintendent for us.
Roberts, a former Olympic athlete, had been well liked by many in the community. And while some are now questioning what background checks were done by the school district, others are questioning the motivation behind the arrest.
He was targeted specifically because he won't give access to ICE to arrest our kids. And we are 100% behind him.
For CBS Saturday Morning, Lana Zach in Iowa.
Oh, I could totally see that too.
Tonight, students, parents, and community
I didn't even think about that. I'm telling you, man, look at that crowd. That's one day. That's day one, okay? I'm telling you, that's day one. Chatter said New Jersey and PA as if they aren't filled with Nazis. Guys, there are unimaginably racist people everywhere, okay? There are unimaginably racist people everywhere in this country. Wake the fuck up, okay? But y'all are being crazy if you think that, like, what do we always talk about? Republicans are the leopards are eating my face party, okay? This is for some, this will be a leopards are eating my face moment, okay? That's all I'm saying. It's kind of like voting for anti-abortion initiatives and then actually experiencing that. When it becomes real, it's different. This is a moment where it becomes real for everyone in fucking Des Moines, Iowa. Not every single person that looks at that is going to go, hell yeah, I'm glad they did this. Okay? It already probably pissed off every single liberal, every single Democratic Party voter in the area. Okay? In a 150-mile radius to begin with. It also woke up a lot of the apoliticals into action. But not only that, but I'm telling you, there are probably Republicans in the margins that will still, it pissed off all the independents and even some of the Republicans. Okay? There is no coalition you can keep up when you do stuff like this. No, you're right about this. Various Republicans I follow who lived in the town where the Haitian migrant hysteria thing happened were super put off by the Haitian migrants eating pets thing and actively called it out. You got to remember the mindset of like the normie, okay? The normie is not as fucking tuned into this shit as you are. A big chunk of that is obviously privilege. A big chunk of that is also because they're too busy with their own shit, okay? But when something like this is beamed into their television screens, all of a sudden they go, what the fuck is this? Hey, yo. Like you're thinking that every single person is as like tuned into everything that's happening in the real world as you are and actively making a decision to ignore it or champion it. That's not the case. For the normies, there are still dudes out there. There are still plenty of fucking normies out there that you could potentially encounter that have no opinion on Israel-Palestine, for example. This is the most consequential issue right now in global affairs. A genocide is taking place. We're paying for it with our tax dollars, right? For you guys, that seems impossible to avoid. I promise you, there are a fuck ton of apolitical normies who are just like, I don't really know what's going on. I don't want Israel, Palestine. What is it? I haven't really tuned in. I promise you. The average person is also not Stephen Miller or Trump levels of evil. They aren't automatically the furthest right because they're uninformed, chat. Exactly. They have fears, hysterical fears because they have beamed Fox News into their collective consciousness. Okay. But this becomes real. All of a sudden, this is on their doorstep. Why do you think I always talk about discontent growing on Trump's immigration agenda? After people start realizing that means people are getting apprehended at the grocery stores. Because there's a difference between championing a cause online or championing a cause in theory by believing the bullshit hysteria surrounding said cause versus seeing it in front of you. I talk about this every day, so I'm shocked that people don't understand when it happens once again. Like the other day, ICE came in and apprehended a grocery store clerk, right? In broad daylight, in the middle of the fucking day. People took out their phone cameras and started filming. How much you want to bet there were Republicans there that were also grossed out by that process? That's the difference between talking shit to someone online, for example, and then talking to them in person. The energy is very different because the humanity of the person that's being harmed is impossible to look in the other direction of. That's why I say there's levels to this shit, okay? That's why I say there's levels to like how racist someone thinks they are even versus how racist they are in the real world. Valentina Gomez comes to mind. A fantastic example. I told you guys, Valentina Gomez was getting so many likes on Twitter when she was running for treasury of her whatever state that she's in. I forget where it was. Was it Missouri? She was running for treasurer, right? And she kept talking. She kept like saying the F slur and saying we have to kill all F words and we have to kill all trans people, all this stuff. And she was getting hundreds of thousands of likes. And you guys were like, look how racist these people are. These people are, she's going to win. I was like, no, she's not. Because I'm willing to bet that even in a state like Missouri, even in Republican company, if she talked like that in polite society amongst other Republicans, unless she's literally in a fucking Klan meeting, people would tell her to shut the fuck up. Republicans would tell her to shut the fuck up. And guess what? She got like 7th place in that fucking treasurer's race. She got the most amount of clout on Twitter though, but she got 7th place. There is a difference between what you can get away with. There's a difference between what you can get away with online and what you experience in the real world. I'm not suggesting this is an unwinnable conflict for our side. I'm saying Iowa is the worst case scenario state. This isn't reddish purple state. Chat. Trust me when I say this. Trust me when I say this. Iowa will shock you. Okay? Every part of this country will shock you. If you don't understand the theory that is already implemented, the theory that you are experiencing in action, okay? Every part of this is you. Because when this kind of action comes to their neighborhood, when this kind of enforcement comes to their neighborhood, there is a very different attitude. And the example I kept using over and over again, and no, I'm not talking about Iowa voting for Obama twice, guys. Stop. I'm not talking about that at all. This is not about politics. This is about something different. This is about human behavior, okay? This is about how human behavior works online versus how human behavior works in the real world, okay? This has nothing to do with Democrat or Republican and everything to do with people seeing this kind of action be implemented and then immediately going, that's not for me, okay? Think about it like it's experiencing an ick, okay? I promise you there aren't that many people, even in the Republican Party, that go around and watch things like this happen in broad daylight, in real time, in front of their own eyes, and go, hell yeah, this is what I voted for. Let's go. I'm not saying there aren't people like that at all. Of course there are. But they're fucking freaks. They're like the lady who goes to the Starbucks to be like, you didn't sufficiently serve me my Charlie Kirk latte. Okay? They're gross. They're monsters. They get a lot of play online, but in the real world, it will cause other Republicans to look at them and go, oh, what the fuck? You like this? This is crazy. And then also on top of that, you got the tariffs long dicking in a place like Iowa, as Corso is correctly pointing out. So their financial situation is not improving. So obviously, when you got a bunch of states that are already potentially experiencing recession, they're not going to be like, there's anything hopeful about this administration. All I've seen is just like insane enforcement of like non-criminals, beloved figures in the community. Get the fuck out of here. Especially in the absence of receiving treats, the Republican will look at a situation like this and go, maybe this is my breaking point. If they were getting treats and they saw this kind of stuff, maybe they would say, well, at least I'm still getting something out of this administration. But the very fact that they're not getting something out of this administration and they're doing this is going to cause more discontent.
Are coming together to show their support for Roberts.
We will love one another. We will stand for what is right. We will stand for justice.
I think you underestimate people. I'm sorry, but on the ground in Nashville, I don't see this becoming a thing. They don't care. First of all, Nashville is already fucking blue, so you're wrong. Your opinion is warped on that regard. And number two, Nashville hasn't seen this yet to the same degree. As far as I can tell, maybe there has been a high-profile incident, but like I cover all this stuff, and I haven't seen something like this happening in Nashville yet. But trust me, if it does, dude, we live in a country where the overwhelming majority, in the immediate aftermath of the execution of George Floyd, the overwhelming majority population agreed with burning down the police precinct. I think you guys have totally fucking subscribed to the media narratives about how reactionary the average American is. And to a certain degree, it's true. Okay? Like, I think we forgot. And in a country where people love cops, okay, because of a steady flow of propaganda, people love policing as an institution, okay? But you are oblivious if you think that the average person that doesn't really pay attention to this stuff could not be radicalized on the spot when they see something like this happen in their backyard. There's a difference between fantasizing about crime happening in blue cities hundreds of miles away versus having the military roll tanks through your fucking streets. Nobody wants the military to roll tanks through their fucking streets, not even Republicans. Okay? Especially when they realize in that very moment, maybe crime isn't all that bad. What the fuck is this shit? That's it. And for the record, look no further than abortion. I keep going back to this over and over again, okay? I keep going back to this over and over and over again. Look no further than abortion. Republicans that thought that they wanted abortion restrictions forever, literally once implemented, were like, okay, I didn't want that at all. I didn't want it. What the fuck? I didn't realize, like, if my daughter is sexually assaulted, like, I want to be able to get a fucking abortion. Or if my wife has an ectopic pregnancy, I want to be able to get this abortion. What the fuck? All right.
For justice.
State Representative and Reverend Rob Johnson put out a call for concerned citizens to join him at Corinthian Baptist Church in Des Moines. Roughly 200 people answered that call and cheered him on as he expressed his support.
But I want to be very clear. We're not just going to throw Ian Roberts away. I don't care what
But tonight's rally wasn't just a way to show support, it was a demand for change. Betty Andrews of the Iowa-Nebraska NAACP encouraged attendees to take action not just for Roberts, but other individuals detained by ICE.
It's concerning. We are concerned. But we're here today with all of you, monitoring, making sure, and letting our voice be heard.
Community leaders encouraged unity in a time of disconnect and hope in the face of fear.
Christian influencers, you said, we talked about the woke right, and you said.
So this is Benjamin Netanyahu doing a conference with social media influencers after his horrible speech that he delivered. Oh, by the way, actually, you know what? Before I get to this, I do it's being picked up by ICE. This is from the St. Louis Reddit. There's a lot of details about who this guy is and his background and stuff. Hold on. My mom is here, so Kai is freaking out. Anyway, Benjamin Netanyahu's I'm not talking about Benjamin Netanyahu. Sorry. I don't know why. I just reset my brain for a second. I want to give you guys a little bit more into the background of this person from people from the actual subreddit itself, from r/St. Louis. Today, does anyone here have experience with this educator from St. Louis Public Schools? According to LinkedIn, he was an administrator with SLPS from 2015 to 2018. He's been the superintendent of schools in Des Moines, Iowa for the past 2 years. Today, ICE picked him up in Des Moines. According to media reports, he has an order removed from the year 2024 and no work authorization. He reportedly ran from cops and when captured had a loaded handgun and $3,000 in cash. He has a previous gun charge, which, again, according to media reports, is a felony because people here without legal authorization are not supposed to have guns. It may be that the previous gun charge was not a big deal. It had to do with hunting activity. This is a big deal in Iowa. Anyone know him? The person says, he was my direct supervisor in St. Louis Public Schools 10 years ago. Stand-up guy who was passionate about helping kids. Really supported me as a new principal. This is good to know. Do not believe a priori the report about the handgun and cash. ICE will simply make shit up now. They're totally unaccountable. Again, healthy amount of skepticism and scrutiny towards federal law enforcement, especially ICE. For ICE, I definitely agree with that kind of scrutiny, but I don't think that it was bullshit. I could totally see him having a gun, for the record, because it's fucking Iowa. It's normal, okay? The notion that this would be a severe, the notion that this would be considered something so severe that it's punishable with deportation is fucking ridiculous. It's just more of a, it's more proof that he's just an American. Okay. I attached the first article from Des Moines newspaper. He's the district here has the district's reaction to information about the issues you raised. Friends who work with him said he was a friendly professional, knew his stuff. Friends from Des Moines say this was a hit because he wouldn't let ICE into the school buildings to grab kids. I'm an educator in Des Moines. The idea of this being a targeted hit is accurate. At least it feels like it. ICE has published inaccurate information in their official releases indicating he entered the country in 1999 on a student visa, but he graduated from Chopin State in 1998. So there's definite credibility question of his final order to vacate timeline. They also try to smear him with an old weapon charge, even calling it criminal, when in truth it was a hunting rifle in the backseat of his car that he paid a $100 ticket for. They also suggest he had no work authorization, but he was approved by a third-party betting source when we hired him, vetting source when we hired him, and had a complete I-9 with all appropriate and requirement documentation. Thank you for all your input. I know the West Des Moines School District does federal background checks and other extensive ones. This is the same for DSM District that blows credibility as well. It's crazy, man. That's actually crazy. People need to understand his previous gun charge was legally valid hunting, leaving a legally valid hunting rifle in his vehicle. Any guns he owned were perfectly legal until his status was revoked. A review of this man's history shows him to be anything other than a criminal. I'm questioning the ICE narrative and the media, the narrative of the media putting on him. He entered in on a student visa in 99. Yet he legally attended Coppin State since 1995. The only statement I can find from him regarding immigration is that his parents immigrated, and here he says he's a U.S. citizen. This appears to be a hit and a smear campaign. Here he states he was born in Guyana. This is the more interesting response. He states in his birth in Guyana in an interview in Brooklyn. Other people put together he's maybe been here since he was 5. So we're looking at either residence in the USA since childhood with no restrictions on ability to work, study, travel in his life, a possible dual citizenship issue, or a student visa that actually did expire after he left his grad program in 2023-2024. Whatever the case, an immigration judge under the DOJ, not ICE, ordered his deportation. Given the details, it is extremely unlikely to impossible for him to have U.S. citizenship. If birthright citizenship, he would not be deportable. Alternatively, it is very, very rare to denaturalize a naturalized citizen. Yeah, so he's probably not an American citizen. It makes sense. It makes sense if he was in a grad school program all the way until 2024, and then they immediately kicked in an order of removal once his student visa was his student visa was up. Not that it matters. Even if he was here illegally since 1999, I don't give a shit. That person is an exemplary human being that all immigrants that haven't done any crimes, that have just been working regular jobs, deserve to get full-blown documentation, okay? But this person is beyond that as well. He's an exemplary human. What the fuck? Clearly, the very fact that he was the superintendent, clearly the very fact that he was a superintendent in Des Moines implies that numerous background checks have taken place and they've found him to be perfectly fine working in the United States. Like, he had the proper work authorization. Understand that immigration goes both ways, right? This is something that I always talk about. Immigration goes both ways. It's just as easy to document someone, to give them the proper work authorization, and it's just as easy to take that away. This is a fundamental reality that many Americans do not comprehend, but it's actually one that Republicans are very aware of. That is precisely the reason why when J.D. Vance went on that fucking stage and said Haitians are eating cats and dogs, openly admitted that that was a lie, by the way, and said he wanted to bring attention to it, he called them illegal aliens. The Haitians that obviously weren't eating cats in Field, Ohio, were not illegal aliens. They had temporary protected status. They had the proper work authorization and the proper work clearance to actually work in Springfield, Ohio. They had the proper paperwork. They were not here illegally. They were not working illegally. And yet, J.D. Vance said that they were illegal because J.D. Vance understands a reality that many Americans don't, which is your status as an immigrant in this country can be taken away. Your status as an immigrant in this country can be easily taken away like a magic wand, which is exactly what he called the TPS status. Please don't call immigrants aliens. I love liberals, man. I love wokes. I love wokes. Please never change. Wokes, never change. I'm glad that you have identified the issue here, which is me using the terminology that they are using when describing immigrants. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, I'm woke as fuck, but I understand how clothes work, sir. I'm going to sit my white ass down